So last week, Conor McGregor had a video come out from an incident back in April where he had punched a man at a bar. This obviously brought a lot of negative press towards him, and it seems as though it was enough press for him to decide it was time for him to finally have a long-form interview after quite a while. So he appeared on Sportscenter with Ariel Helwani. What I'm going to do is I'm going to show a few clips in it, but before I get into the clips here, I just want to talk about what my expectations were of this and kind of where I stand on Conor McGregor. I don't know that I love Conor as a person. I think for MMA, he's great for MMA. It's best for MMA to have a guy like him around. As a fan who likes the technical side, there's a lot about Conor that's interesting to watch, whether it's his boxing and also watching his evolution on the ground, seeing how he actually fights on the ground. Again, people think that he's terrible on the ground, but he actually had a pretty nice fight that he hit on Nate Diaz. He had good top work when he was against Max Holloway. So there's plenty to enjoy about Conor McGregor when you're actually like watching the fight from a technical standpoint. But more so with him, it's the entertainment standpoint and the fact that he sells so well. Having a guy like him in the sport is beneficial for the sport. It's beneficial in that it draws a lot of eyes, not only for his events, but also for events for people who are adjacent to him. So you look at Nate Diaz and the following Nate Diaz had around the time when he fought Michael Johnson, and then look at the following he's had ever since. I mean, just look at the reactions he got heading into this fight with Anthony Pettis, this being his first fight against someone who wasn't Conor McGregor since the two McGregor fights. It's obviously rubbed off all on him. Khabib seems to be in position to become a much bigger star now that he has that win over Conor McGregor. So Conor's one of those guys where if he's winning, that's great. He's selling a lot for himself. But when he loses, he also rubs off all on the guys who beat him, and that has its own effect too. So now Khabib's a bigger star, Nate's a bigger star. So the next person to beat Nate, they're probably going to be a bigger star than they otherwise would be because of a relationship to Conor McGregor. Same goes for Khabib. Same goes for everyone else. So to have a guy like Conor who sells a lot, that's good in that it's bringing a lot of money into the sport, which is good. But it also helps build other stars around him. So I would like to be in a position here where Conor McGregor is a key factor in the MMA world, where he's fighting, I'd say regularly, whether that's 2 or 3 times a year. When he's winning, that means that he's building himself up and his events are meaning more. And when he's losing, that the guys who beat him end up becoming bigger stars and being more successful in their lives. Having Conor in this position where he's fought one time in MMA since he won the title back, I think it was late 2015, that's not good for the sport. It's not good for anyone. So I want Conor to be back, and I want Conor to be back to the old form that he was at. In the last video I made, I said I don't think Conor is ever going to get back to that point. I don't think he'll ever win another title again. And I think that he's just kind of on the wrong tracks of the train, so to speak. I was hoping this interview would tell me otherwise, and that would make me believe, okay, if Conor actually is finally seeing the error in his ways and he's going to actually make things better. That's not what I got watching it. So first off, this clip, this is going to be the first clip of the video. It's going to be the first question that Ariel asked, just asking him what happened with that night at the night of the pub. And what kind of answer we're going to get from Conor is going to feel more like an answer that a lawyer would script for you for what you would have to say in front of a judge, rather than someone who realized the error of their ways, is willing to fully admit what they did, and then willing to grow from it. So here's that answer.
Last week, TMZ posted a video of an incident that occurred back in April of this past year where you appeared to get into an altercation with another man at a bar in Ireland. Could you tell us your side of that story? What happened there?
I mean, in reality, it doesn't matter what happened there. I was in the wrong. That man deserved to enjoy his time in the pub without having it to end the way it did. And although 5 months ago it was, and I tried to make amends, and I made amends back then, it's still, the fans don't even, that does not even matter. I was in the wrong. I must come here before you and take accountability and take responsibility. And I owe it to
I must come here before you and take accountability and take responsibility. Like, it's almost like when he gave that answer, he didn't realize he was talking to Ariel Helwani, not a judge. But let's continue.
People that have been supporting me. I owe it to my mother, my father, my family. I owe it.
Does this not sound like someone who's talking to a freaking judge? Like, this doesn't really sound contrite. It just sounds like someone who's reading a scripted statement.
I owe it to the people who trained me in martial arts. That's not who I am. That's not the reason. That's not the reason why I got into martial arts or studying combat sport. The reason I got into it was to defend against that type of scenario. So to see that, and although months ago, when I have been making steps and continually making steps to do better and be better, to see it,
steps?
It's like a dagger into my heart as a young martial artist. So I'm just here to own up to that and move on and carry on and face what's coming with it.
The videos.
Yeah, so he never really got into detail in this interview about what specific steps he's taking. Now, one of the things that I've noticed with him is that it seems like whenever he's getting in trouble, maybe outside of the Dolly incident, and the Dolly incident we don't really know, but it seems like these are incidents where at the very least alcohol is involved, but there's a decent chance with him that there could be other drugs involved. With that being said, take a look at his eyes here. There could be a few reasons why his eyes don't exactly look terribly white here. Maybe it could be a lighting thing with the pink shirt he has. Maybe at the time that he was taking this, maybe it was early in the morning. I don't know what the time zones were or when this was actually filmed. maybe it was take your pet to work day and he's allergic to the dogs or cats, but his eyes don't look quite normal here. So to be honest, I wouldn't even be surprised if he was under the influence of something just during this interview. But back to the point I was making before, if you look at the incident at the nightclub in Miami at 5 a.m., he surely was not sober at that point. You look at this incident at the bar, I'm sure he at least had a couple shots of Proper 12 prior to giving that guy a shot in the face. It seems as though substances definitely have been playing a role in his downfall and his issues. And so for him, you would like to at least hear him say, hey, look, this is something that I identified as a problem. Here's what I'm doing to work on it. Now, to be fair, he's kind of in a bit of a tough situation being an owner of a whiskey company. Even if he does come to a realization that alcohol has been a problem for him, I don't know that he can really be the guy to just like publicly be a face of sobriety. So that could be odd, but it doesn't seem as though he's like trying to go down that route anyway. So for him, it would have been nice to at least like own up to specifically what happened, say, this is what I did, this is why I did it, and this is what I'm going to do to fix it. And it never really felt like you got that in the interview. Like even at times, and I'll get to some of those clips too, he would say things along the lines of, yeah, well, people were kind of, they were inciting me and I shouldn't have reacted. And it's like, well, the reactions you had weren't even reasonable. Like even if the guy just like tossed his glass back at you, that doesn't mean you freaking punch him from the side. You look at the person who's trying to take pictures of him, like just because the guy is like taking obnoxious pictures of you, that doesn't mean that the appropriate response or the response that you have to suppress is to take their phone, smash it, and then run away with it. Like these just aren't even responses. And the way that he's responding to this in the interview, it seems like he doesn't realize that even still. But on to the next clip. Let's pull that up. But this one will be just talking about the punishment that he'll receive for the assault at the bar.
See what happens, and whatever comes my way, I will face it. Whatever comes up my way, I deserve it. You know, so I will face this head on. I will not hide from it. I was in the wrong. It was completely unacceptable behaviour for a man in my position. What happens, I will face.
Conor, since this
again, that doesn't sound like Conor's voice. It sounds like a lawyer's voice. And that was one of the things that bugged me about this, is that when he was being asked about these crimes or asked about these incidents that are really derailing him, rather than like really opening up and being honest about them, he's just like, yeah, no, it was bad. I shouldn't have done that. And I embarrassed my family. And just like all the shit you normally hear from a lawyer. So to me, just not very good answers there, not really promising answers there. The next thing we're going to look at, though, is a question where Ariel asked him if he has an anger problem, referring to both this and the incident at the Miami nightclub.
We went out and then a situation arose. I need to just stop reacting to the bait. I've got to ask, like, people are trying to bait me.
See, I need to stop reacting to the bait. People are trying to bait me. Like I said before, they're not baiting you to smash their phone and take it away from them. Like your reaction, even if you consider it bait, the reaction you had wasn't like a natural reaction. It was well beyond natural. And the fact that you were describing it as I was baited into doing that rather than what I did was wrong, regardless of whether or not they were trying to bait me. Like bait might be like, hey, get away, maybe like pushing their camera away. Baiting isn't grabbing their camera, smashing it, and then walking away with it. Like that's not the wording I would use.
Into things, am I the fish or am I the whale? I must be calm. I must be zen. I must lead by example. There's so many people looking up to me. How can I react in this way? I need to get a hold of this. And I'm working very hard to do this. And I'm taking the necessary steps. And I have been on a great trajectory. And even before the Miami incident, I was on a great trajectory. And then I had a little slip, and then I back up. And I'm just trying my hardest, Ariel. I swear on my life, I'm trying my hardest. And it's been 5 months since that one. And that's it. I just have to.
Yeah. So still not very specific. So again, like he's saying, he's trying his hardest. That's nice, but what does trying your hardest even mean? And then one more clip, just referring to that Miami incident specifically.
As far as that incident is concerned,
that incident has been completely handled. The fan, if you want to call, it does not matter. Again, it does not matter what the person says or how the situation arose. It does not matter. I was in the wrong, and that's handled and in the past. And I'm happy now to keep moving forward, keep striving forward, and focus on the positive. Like you asked me about Miami and the heckler, and in Miami, I would rather focus on the occasion with my family. That was an unforgettable moment to bring my mother out for her 60th birthday. I'm trying to focus on all the good in my life and recognize that I do make mistakes and learn from them, not to make them again, but still focus on the good and please, Lord, allow more of it to happen for me.
Conor, I know you're...
Yeah, so again, you have that same answer, but it seems as though his take on what happened wasn't like, I did the wrong thing. It was like, the guy got what he deserved, but I shouldn't have done it because I'm a big star. The guy definitely did not get what he deserved. You went well beyond what was necessary for the situation. And the fact that he doesn't seem to realize that's annoying, but the other fact that's annoying is that he keeps saying, I'm taking steps. What steps are you taking? Like, give me a reason to believe that you're actually growing, that you're actually doing something that's going to mean that something like this won't happen again. I don't want the reason to be, well, if I get in a similar situation, I'll think about doing what I've done in the past, but maybe I'll hold myself back from doing it. Like, that's not the issue that you didn't hold back. The issue is that you took steps that were just well beyond what was necessary given the actual situation. So for him, I like to see better. I like to have something to believe in, but this didn't really give me a whole lot of hope.